log in to the Admin UI homepage. From the Drug Program section, select the drug program that you want to add a dataset to. In the clinical study datasets, if the drug program already has datasets, these will be presented as a list and the options to edit and remove will be enabled. Click Add to set up a new dataset. This takes you into the clinical study setup. This left-hand menu shows you the steps required to set up the study. The colour of the icon represents the stage at which you're at. So a red icon, the step has yet to be set up. An amber icon represents the step that you're setting up. And once a setup has been completed, the amber will change to green. Enter the dataset name in the ID in the search field. Click Search. If the dataset already exists in the system, then the details will be presented in this table below. However, if it doesn't exist, the Add New option is presented. Click Add New. You are now in the New Dataset Parameter page. This allows you to start setting up your dataset parameters. If you notice here, there's a padlock icon which is unlocked. This will allow you to enter the details for the dataset. Once the details have been entered, this padlock will change to a locked padlock. Populate your dataset parameters. The question marks here give a descriptor of what is required and why. In the drug ID, select the drug program. If the drug program that you want to add the dataset to does not appear in this menu, drop-down menu, that indicates that the Finish button was not pressed when setting up the drug program. This can easily be resolved by going into the drug program, editing, clicking Finish, and then you will see the option appear in the New Dataset Parameter section. Next, Dataset ID. This is unique to organise data in React. Then enter your dataset name. This is the name of the dataset that will be shown in VA Hub and VA Security. Enter the clinical study code. Again, this is unique for a study within the React database. Then enter your clinical study name. This is the name of the study that will appear in VA Hub and VA Security. Enter the study phase. You have the option of being early phase or late phase. Enter the dataset study type. Then enter the dataset study delivery model. Then enter the planned date for the first subject in and an estimate for the planned date of the primary database lock. The next section of the dataset parameters is set up with regards to blinding, randomisation and regulatory aspects of the study. Blinding defines whether or not a study has a blinding aspect. You can select blinded or non-blinded. Randomisation defines whether study subjects are randomised between arms or not, randomised or not randomised. And finally, regulatory defines whether a study will deliver or support licensing submission. You can select regulated or non-regulated. Point about blinding. Selecting a blinded study here does not restrict certain aspects of the study to the user. Access to the tolerability and oncology-specific views will be restricted based on user privileges through VA security. The final aspects of configuring a new dataset involves a series of checkboxes which, if ticked, enable the following functionality. If scheduled is ticked, this will allow the ETL service to run every day, look for any updates in the data, and update the data in the database. If countries has been used in mapping, there is the option of using codes for those countries if you select this option. Some of the plots, the x-axis has visit numbers. If this checkbox is marked, then those particular plots will only ever show visit numbers on the x-axis. And finally, a new functionality, machine insight setting. Checking the enable QT interval algorithm allows using Azure Machine Learning Studio to create machine insights for QT interval plotting. If this is checked, then a visualization module View Machine Insights will appear in the VA Hub, providing users with QT prolongation plot. Then click Next to proceed to the next step. If we now click back, you can see that the icon has changed to green. And if you now click back to review and edit the dataset, you can see that the padlock has now closed and you're unable to edit any of the information in the dataset parameters. To edit any information, click the padlock and it will unlock. Click Next to move to the next parameter. Click Next until you now get to the Review the Dataset Setup page. This allows you to review the dataset setup, and you can see here that because we selected blinded study and we selected randomised and regulatory, a message comes up to say that this dataset has been blinded and the views for safety will be restricted for the set of the study team members. You can then check your dataset parameters here, that they read correctly as you had entered them, and then click Finish. This takes you back to the home page, and you can now see that for this drug program study we have a dataset that's been added called Training 1. We now have the functionality for edit and remove enabled, and you can see here the details of the configuration for the data study set.